Okay.
Snoop, Houston, we got a beautiful picture out there of the... Roger, I will. I'll mark it 6 minutes. Charlie Brown, we finally got you, over. Oh, that wasn't 6 minutes.
What was it, Jose?
Okay, I got 5 seconds to 6 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, 6 minutes and countdown to SEP.
That's great.
Charlie Brown, Houston, we're reading you 5-by now, over. Roger. I got 5 minutes and 45 seconds to SEP. 44, 43, 42. We're right with you. Houston, this is Snoopy. With that drift you saw, how do you expect our platform to be? How close to good alignment? Right, we expect very small torquing angles in all axes, over. That's good to hear, thank you.
It's the platform alignment is the...
We can get back on the normal after that installation kind of goofed us up, Charlie, but everything's looking good here.
That's Stafford.
Roger, Tom. Could you, one question on the tracking light. Have you tried it?
Stand by. John, there's a tracking light for you.
Yeah, please turn it off.
It works.
Great, thank you. We saw it.
This is Air Force Major Charles Duke, who is the capsule communicator. One of the later class of astronauts.
John, why don't you toss on your tracking light for a minute?
Stafford asking John Young to try his tracking lights. Tracking lights needed for the rendezvous, for the visual portions of the rendezvous. They are brought together.
Roger, that's mine.
By radar.
Maybe underneath the vehicle. I don't think you can see it.
Yeah, I saw one reflection here. We're okay.
But in the closing moments of the rendezvous, it's nice to have those lights on there. We haven't heard, because of the communications problem from John Young as to whether he expects to work with the camera a little more than this, or when. Obviously, there's some tuning up that could be done there. We see the lunar module against the darkness of space, not against the reflected light of the moon. The command module is below the lunar module at this point. Young will be very shortly, in a couple of minutes from now, firing his engines to separate further from the lunar module. And there is a checkout procedure involved, of course, in getting ready for that.
Okay, John, looks like about 2:30 coming up to SEP, babe.
Roger.
If you can pass on to our support divisions, this Hasselblad sandbox has failed about 3 or 4 times on us.
Roger, Snoop, we copy.
We're still getting some pictures, though. The basic camera's good. It's just the packing of the film in the magazine.
Roger.
Stafford talking about his movie camera. Got a little trouble with it, apparently. The command module fires really very briefly, just for about 7 seconds, 6.9, I think it reads in the flight plan. And the separation maneuver is only at it's less than 2 miles an hour, 1.7 mile an hour, just enough to drift apart really a little bit further to give the lunar module plenty of clearance.
Separation maneuver, Will.
When he gets ready to fire his descent propulsion system engine, which is considerable more.
Okay, Houston, coming up on 2 minutes to set. I'm going to sync mark.
Right, we copied 1 minute.
Raj, you're right.
Big brother's watching.
Command module mentioned that they had 2 minutes to the burn, and Houston corrected them to 1 minute.
You'll never know how big this thing gets when there ain't nobody in here but one guy.
We're hearing from John Young. That was John Young.
You'll never know how small it looks when you're as far away as we are.
That was Cernan. John Young said, you never dream how big this thing gets when only one guy's in it. And Cernan answered, you never dream how far away it looks. They've got to get back to that command module later tonight in order to get home. The lunar module cannot make the return trip to Earth. Presumably could make it with the firing of the descent propulsion system engine, which has a power up to almost 10,000 pounds thrust. But that would get them out of lunar orbit all right, but they have no way to re-enter.
You can see your thrusters firing there, John, and you're moving away.
Okay. Go 5.3 on the disc and 5.0 on EMS and on 0 on EMS. I'd be inclined to believe the EMS today.
We copy, Charlie Brown.
Okay, Jose, so adios, and we'll see you back in about 6 hours.
Boy.
Susan, Charlie Brown, we see you separating on the big tube.
See you, John. Right. Have a good time while we're gone, Dave.
Yeah, don't get lonesome out there, John.
And don't accept any TEI update.
Trans-Earth injection update.
Don't you worry. Till you get back, I ain't copying any more pads.
What they're referring to is that John Young shouldn't change his return time to Earth such that they wouldn't get back. In other words, don't accept any TEI updates and come back to Earth before they get back and rejoin him.
Houston, this is Charlie Brown, over.
Go ahead, Charlie Brown.
Roger, while we were waiting to come over the hill, we checked out VHF, and we're right now on VHF AMA and receive only B data.
Beautiful. It sounds good. Thanks a lot.
John's doing something with that camera. You saw his hand coming up of it, and he's moving it around. Whether there's going to be more television on this pass or not, we don't know. It wasn't scheduled to be much longer than that, and the lunar module is obviously getting rather dim in the picture. So all is going well with the flight of Apollo 10. Now 2 spaceships circling the moon. That has never happened before in history. In the manned space program, this is another first. 2 manned spaceships now flying there just a few miles apart. They'll eventually get as far as 350 miles apart when the lunar module goes into its high orbit on its second pass alone around the moon, out to some 212 miles above the moon, before it sweeps down to within 11 miles of the moon at 3,700 miles an hour on its second pass over the lunar landing site for which the Apollo 11 astronauts will be aiming. It's about 6 hours that they'll be apart. As you heard John Stafford say, we'll see you in 6 hours, John. Talking to Charlie Brown, John Young, who now flies alone in the command module. he's got a mighty important job to do, because now with each of the maneuvers of the lunar module, he does mirror image burns or preparations for them, so that at any time he can go to rescue the lunar module if it cannot come back to him. If all goes well, he stays in his roughly 69-mile high orbit of the moon, and the maneuvers are performed by the lunar module. But should, by any chance, they be unable to perform their maneuvers, he has the capability to go get them. But to do that, he must play every maneuver with them in reverse, be prepared at any moment to do what they cannot do in, of course, reverse to get back to them.